All right. So we've already gone through the different parts of the spreadsheet. So we're kind of familiar with what makes up this simulation spreadsheet. The question is now, what do we do? What do you do? Well, what we're going to end up doing is comparing a bunch of different strategies that we could come up with as a dealer. And think of this in the real world. So imagine you're a market maker on the New York Stock Exchange, and you want to know, as these orders are coming in, what's the right way to trade? What's the best way to trade? Okay? And so what we're going to let ourselves do is imagine, well, okay, so let's imagine that it's a really volatile time period, all right? So we'll increase our daytime volatility to 0.01, all right? And our overnight volatility is 40. Let's say our order processing costs are fairly low, all right? So now, if there's not a lot of information out there, but I'm really risk averse. My boss is really coming down hard on me for taking a bunch of large positions. All right, we can actually create a problem that describes that environment. So there's not a lot of adverse selection. Our risk aversion is really high. The volatility is really high. Our order processing costs are really low. So now, what do? Well, we can come up with all kinds of different strategies and test them to see which is probably our best strategy given that type of environment. That's our goal. That's what we're going to do. And so we're going to come up with, and we're going to have to develop our own set of problems, and we're going to have to develop our own set of strategies. Now, you can imagine, since we've kind of parameterized our 5 different things that describe our problem, we could actually just come up with a problem set that describes a bunch of the way the world could work. Okay, it may not always, but sometimes it does work this way. And so we can kind of lay out what are different problems that we could maybe come across in the real world. Okay, or maybe in the world that we can't imagine, but it might actually exist. And so, for example, we can come up with this new problem number 1, and we're going to test to see how our different strategies that we've already come up with, that came loaded with the simulation software, how do each of them do? And so in order to test that, we're going to tell the simulation, all right, go look at problem number 1. And we're going to start with problem 1 and end with problem 1. In other words, we're just going to do one problem, but we're going to test our 14 strategies. So these 14 strategies down here, okay? We're going to hit the go button, the test algo dealer strategies. All right, we'll wait. It takes, I don't know, probably 15, 20 seconds to run that many problems and strategies together. So you can see total number of simulations, 14. All right, so I'm sure you're looking at the clock on YouTube right now to figure out if I was even close. All right, and after we've run those 14 strategies, we come down here for this new problem and look, wow. Man, this was a rough environment. All of our utility numbers on average were negative. And our best strategy out of all the ones that we came up with initially was to do nothing, just to sit on our hands. So in other words, what we've done is said, well, in an environment where we're really risk averse and the volatility is really high, and even if our order and processing costs are really low, we're guessing our best strategy is actually to do nothing. And so what the challenge here is for you to imagine all kinds of different trading environments. So these are all the different problems. And then to begin to create, well, is our best strategy really to do nothing? Some of these were pretty close. So this guy almost made money. Could we actually do something better than nothing to make money? That's going to be the challenge. So let's practice something. I'm going to give you a problem. So let's say we're going to do problem number 5 right here. All right. Our adverse selection cost is going to be 0.3. Our risk aversion is 0. Our daytime volatility is 0.01. Our overnight volatility is 1. And our ordering processing costs are 0. I want you to enter that problem into the spreadsheet. It's easy for me because I'm just going to copy and paste. You, on the other hand, are actually going to have to come over here and into problem 1, enter those values. So that means you're going to put in 0.3 here in adverse selection. So that's cell F48. And then F49, you're going to put in 0. F50, 0.01. 51, just a 1. In the ordering process, you're going to hit 0. All right. So we've now entered a new problem. Right? If I had a bell, I'd be like ringing it, right? Bing, 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 bing. That's great. All right. That's one of the biggest challenges to this spreadsheet. All right, is figuring out how do I actually enter a problem. So we've now entered a new problem. We can go test it. Hit the button. So we're set up for problem 1 and strategies 1 through 14. So for this new problem that we just came up with on the fly, not really, but on the fly, we just came up with this new problem. We're going to see what's the best strategy out of our 14 that came preloaded. Okay? Should be about finished here. Boom. There we are. Come down here. For that strategy, our best strategy was number 3. All right?